Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
This is Reporter's Diary. Straight to the top story at this hour. This is an exclusive, and this is on the tussle between the government and banks on taxing banking services that have been deemed to be free. Now, revenue officials tell CNBC TV18 that services provided by banks like those on minimum account balance are not free in nature, and that the decision to tax such banking services has been taken at the highest level. Sapna Das joins us with these exclusive details. Sapna, what banks already under duress? What is the meaning of a move like this?
Well, despite the fact that the Department of Financial Services has written to the Revenue Department asking them to withdraw these service tax demands on the banks, the Revenue Department's view is extremely different and very, very clear. They are maintaining that, these are not free services which are offered by banks on the minimum account balances which are maintained by customers. Had the services been free, then non-maintenance of the minimum balance would not have attracted any penalty on the customers, but that's not the case. So what happens basically is that once the minimum account balance is maintained, banks earn an interest on that, and through that interest, they're able to cover the costs of the services which they provide to the customers. So definitely not a free service at all. Under those circumstances, the law is very clear. Service tax applicability cannot be questioned. In fact, this view has now come from the highest level. So according to revenue officials, there doesn't seem to be any dispute on this front. The second aspect that they're also very clear about is that there cannot be any withdrawal of these show cause notices. It'll have to go through the adjudication route. Whatever needs to be done will be done at the court level. There'll be a common adjudicator to take care of these demand notices. Now, we understand that over 20 banks are already under the service tax scanner, and that ambit may widen in the coming days. In the meanwhile, the Department of Financial Services stance is very much clear. So you have to wait and watch and see what really happens on this front. Last but not the least, the only relief that may come about is if the competent authority decides to drop the pre-GST period cases. The cases span from 2012 to 2017. Under those circumstances, the tax demand will come down drastically. Otherwise, what may also happen is that along with service tax, the banks may be liable to also pay GST at the rate of 18%.
Right, Sapna, thank you so much for taking us through those details. But moving on, it is a mega deal for India's e-commerce sector, with Walmart picking up 77% stake in homegrown e-tailer Flipkart for $16 billion. As part of this deal, the remaining 33% shareholding will be divided between co-founder Binny Bansal and investors Tencent Holdings, Tiger Global and Microsoft Corporation. Now, speaking to investors after the announcement, Walmart's president and CEO Douglas McMillon said India is one of the company's growth markets, and while e-commerce is still small in the country, there is much upside going forward. In line with the government's vision, McMillon added that Walmart is keen to support the Indian market, work towards enhancing farmer incomes as well as brick-and-mortar Kirana stores. Talking about Flipkart, the Walmart CEO said that he sees exciting opportunities in the fashion business and the payments platform PhonePe. On the leadership strategy going forward, McMillon said local leadership will be empowered and bureaucracy from the United States will not run Flipkart. Walmart will continue with the expansion of the cash and carry business, this with an aim to open 50 new stores in the next 5 years. As far as the listing of Flipkart is concerned, the Walmart CEO says there is no timeline on that just yet. Meanwhile, Flipkart's co-founder Binny Bansal says the company's short-term focus will be on accelerating growth, while the long-term focus will be on synergies. He emphasized that the leadership team will continue and Flipkart will remain a board-managed company. Their partnership with Walmart will help to scale the grocery business to 5 cities by the end of this year. And the United States has complained against India to the World Trade Organization. The USA has alleged that India has substantially underreported the minimum support prices for wheat and rice. Rituparna Bhuyan is here with the details. Ritu, what are the arguments being put forth by the US trade representatives?
On May 4th, the United States approached the Committee of Agriculture at the WTO, and this is the first by the United States, complaining that India has been underreporting data related to minimum support price on wheat and rice. The United States also alleged that, according to its calculations, the MSP offered by India on rice and wheat is far more than it is allowed to do so under WTO-related rules. Now, yesterday, 2 top members of the Trump administration has spoken on this issue. Firstly, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue said, and I quote, India represents a massive market and we want greater market access for U.S. products, but India must be fair and transparent about their practices. For trade to be free and fair, all parties must abide by their WTO commitments. Along with Sonny Perdue, his colleague Robert Lighthizer, who was the United States trade representative, also spoke about this issue, saying that the United States expects our trading partners to comply with the reporting requirements they agreed to when joining the WTO, unquote. Now we'll have to wait and see how this is taken forward, because till date, United States has not approached the Committee on Agriculture related to any issues or disputes related to farm subsidies, and we'll have to now see if the Committee on Agriculture decides to take any call and seeks comments from India regarding the complaint that has been filed by the United States. With that, it's back to you.
So we'll have to wait and see how India responds to this. Thank you so much for all those details, Ritu. Moving on, earlier this month, the GST Council gave the go-ahead for the Goods and Services Network, the firm providing the IT backbone to the new indirect tax regime, to be converted into a fully government-controlled entity. Now we learned that the GSTN board has initiated the process to acquire stake held by other private companies. Timsi Jaipuria, who has been tracking these developments, joins us now. Timsi, what else are you picking up?
Well, after GST Council's nod on May 4th, the government has started initiating the process of conversion of GSTN from a private entity to a public entity. Not just this, the board of GSTN has taken an in-principle nod from the four stakeholders which are holding about 51% stake, and they've taken an in-principle nod to convert and to sell this stake to government. Now, what we understand from sources that soon this proposal will go to the Union Cabinet for a formal nod, because it will now be a public entity. So Union Cabinet's nod is necessary. On the other hand, what are the changes with this conversion? When it comes to the board, a new restructured GSTN board will be there, which will have 13 members on the board, which would mean 4 directors, both from state and centre, 3 independent directors, 1 chairman and 1 CEO. Not just this, when it comes to the staff will continue to work for next 5 years, which is working currently, but they will be converted on a contract basis. They will be recruited on the same salary. But yes, when it comes to fresh recruitment, any fresh recruitment will be done only with the approval of GST Council. So let's see how soon this deal go through, because it will cost government only 5.1 crores, which will be borne equally by state and centre, because in the new shareholding pattern, 50% of stake will be with the centre and 50% will be with states. So let's see how soon this deal goes through, and finally the proposal goes to the Union Cabinet. Back to you.
On to the big story from the Insolvency Corner. The Supreme Court today dismissed Dalmia Bharat's plea that it sought a stay on the NCLT's order on Binani Cement. Remember, earlier this month, the Kolkata bench of the National Company Law Tribunal had directed Binani Cement's lenders to consider Ultratech's revised bids as well. Dalmia Bharat moved the court against the NCLT order. Ashmit Kumar, who was at the court, joins us now. Ashmit, a setback of sorts for Dalmia Bharat. What were the court's observations in this matter?
So a big blow coming in for Dalmia, no relief coming from them from the apex court. The Supreme Court saying that they will not intervene, they will not stay the COC proceedings in the Binani Cements case, and in doing so, the Supreme Court has essentially paved the way for the COC to move ahead and to take on both the bids of Binani Industries as well as Ultratech. Now here's the background story to it all. NCLT had passed orders whereby it had made clear that the COC can consider Binani Industries' bid. Aggrieved by that, Dalmia had expectedly moved the NCLAT, had not met with any success there, and in appeal of that order had moved the apex court today. The concern that they essentially cited was that if the COC considers the Binani Industries plea, if it finalizes the resolution plan, it could essentially change, it could involve changes in the shareholding patterns, it could lead to what they called were irreversible changes. A word that they used was unscrambable, but none of these arguments managing to cut any ice with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court making its position clear that it will not intervene and does not see it fit to intervene at this stage, and towards that end, the matter has now been sent back. Dalmia's plea has been dismissed. The appeal now goes, the case now goes back to the NCLAT. The next hearing to keep in mind is May 22nd. Of course, the Supreme Court issuing directions as well for the NCLAT to hear this matter expeditiously, but that's the only relief Dalmia's will be getting. No other relief. The NCLAT, the Supreme Court, I beg your pardon, paving the way for the COC to go ahead and to consider Binani Industries' bid for Binani Cements. Back to you.
So a setback there for Dalmia Bharat. Thank you so much for those details, Ashmit. Meanwhile, Binani Cement lenders were scheduled to meet today to consider Ultratech's bid, but the meeting was cancelled after the company's resolution professional received objections from Rajputana Properties. This objection was in relation to Ultratech's eligibility to be an applicant. The resolution professional will review the facts and law to decide on the matter. Now, after JP Infratech's resolution process falls through, hundreds of home buyers gathered at JP Infratech office in Noida, staring at fresh uncertainty. Over 20,000 home buyers have been waiting since August 2017 to see a new management take over and restart the process of completing their delayed flats. Manisha Natarajan spoke to these buyers to figure out what they're hoping for going forward.
We are here at the JP Infratech Sales and Marketing Office with a group of buyers, in fact hundreds of them, who've come together extremely disappointed that the resolution process has fallen through. Now what is it that they are hoping for to get their homes back? So what are you hoping for? You do not want liquidation? Is that your biggest question or demand?
We do not want liquidation. We simply want delivery of our homes. Supreme Court has the extraordinary powers because the circumstances are extraordinary. It is a social problem. Fate of 20,000 buyers are at stake, families are at stake. It will become a political problem also.
We are not interested now in rebidding. The Supreme Court must take a call and find a solution because they have to evoke the extraordinary power. Rebidding means that it has to be again wasting 2 to 3 months. Where are the people going to wait for that long?
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking with us. Look at the crowds around. I mean, the number of home buyers, they are only a representative. 20,000 stuck home buyers. And now they're saying if the resolution process has failed, then might as well bring the management with stiff conditions because somebody has to be in the driving seat to complete those flats. Back to you.
Exclusive Maharashtra government is expecting an investment of over 10,000 crore rupees under its new EV policy. M&M, Tata Motors and JSW Energy are in talks with the government to set up an EV capacity in the state. Utkarsh Chaturvedi joins us with more details. Utkarsh, tell us how this massive investment is possible.
So after announcing the much-awaited electric vehicle policy, Maharashtra government is now eyeing at investments of over 10,000 crores in the state. Now, sources tell us that around 5 to 6 players have submitted proposals for investment in the electric vehicle space. Now, these include OEMs as well as component manufacturers. Now, speaking of the big companies involved, players like M&M, Tata Motors, JSW Energy are in talks with the government to set up capacities. Tata Motors currently is talking to the Maharashtra government for an investment of around 1,000 to 1,500 crore rupees in the CV space. Now, this is what our sources tell us. Tata Motors already has its plant in Pimpri, but remember that the current batch of Tigor electric cars is being rolled out from Sanand, Gujarat. Similarly, JSW is also speaking to both Gujarat and Maharashtra government for setting up its maiden EV plant. Interestingly, JSW has signed an EV with both the states, Gujarat and Maharashtra, and when it comes to investments. But it is yet to decide which state will they go ahead and invest in. Now, obviously, if they invest in one state, they'll have to disappoint the other one. Mahindra, on the other hand, has already committed its investment of 500 crore rupees. M&M has been investing in building the EV capacity before the EV policy was already announced. So, Maharashtra government is confident of big money flowing with its new policy, but clearly it is facing tough competition from the neighboring state, and not to forget states like Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, where the state government are ready to give far more subsidies and concessions versus the traditional auto hubs like Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra.
Absolutely, Utkarsh. Thank you so much for taking us through those details. Now, in a big boost to farmers in Telangana, Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao today launched the Raitu Bandhu, or crop investment support for farmers here. The state government will offer financial assistance of 8,000 rupees annually for every acre of agricultural land that is owned. Nitya Balakrishnan is joining us now. Nitya, take us through the highlights of the scheme and how much will this cost the Telangana government?
Is probably one of the biggest welfare schemes launched by Telangana, and it categorically means that if you're an agricultural landowner in the state, then you will be eligible for 4,000 rupees an acre in Kharif and 4,000 rupees per acre in Rabi seasons to enable farmers to basically get access to a line of credit. This could be used for procurement of crops, of seeds and even fertilizers, but the state government is looking to set aside close to 12,000 crore rupees in FY19 alone to fund this exercise. Now, the scheme was launched by Chief Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao in Karimnagar district earlier today. And what the government is looking is at identifying 58 lakh farmers. Their land records have been verified. Pattadar passbooks and checks have begun to be issued by the state government for them. Now, these records have been verified and they are accessed with a unique QR code as well as unique barcode and transaction IDs to ensure that no duplication of land deeds take place. This, remember, is a scam that Telangana has reeled under in the past. So the entire exercise, the government is hoping, will ensure that distressed farmers have a successful year ahead of them. Remember, this is a powerful move ahead of the election year by Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Farmers in the state are not complaining, at least those who own land. Of course, tenant farmers do not fall under this exercise. Remains to be seen how much of a burden the state government will bear in its budget. But 12,000 crore rupees, they're confident of factoring in for funding this entire exercise. And farmers in Telangana are clearly not complaining.
They're definitely not going to be complaining there. Thank you so much for those details, Nitya. Now, the high-octane campaigning in Karnataka has come to an end. Both BJP and Congress gave a final push to woo the voters with multiple rallies and public meetings of the bigwigs. Now, CNBC TV18's Rukmini Rao, who has been tracking all the developments, is here with the day's highlights. Rukmini.